undergraduate and postgraduate students and is currently focused on the internationalization of the Fine Arts Department at the University of the Free State. Thanks so much, Adelheid.
Good evening. It's great to see you all here, and we are upstairs, but there's a nice little draft happening at least. But it's nice to see so many of you. The support is Hannelie's first time in Bloemfontein, and I realized that when I met her this afternoon. So yeah, it's a special moment. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I feel honored. It's such a compliment, you know, when somebody wants you to do something like this, even though I can get a bit nervous, but I really appreciate it's a privilege to be asked to talk and give my insights on your body of work. So thank you. And also thank you for introducing me. It was nice to be introduced. I appreciate it. So, Euphoria and say Gloria. I love that title. What a title. What a stunning title. What a body of work this is. Congratulations to you. This is really very well put together. I think it looks lovely in this space. For getting into this program at Oliewenhuis, as you said, the third solo show. So, yeah, very stunning. So I find this work is deeply conceptual, and for me it keeps on revealing more ideas the more I spend time with it, and the more I peel off layers. This afternoon, or this morning, I met up with Hannelie, and she gave me an hour and a half of her time, and I feel maybe more than I see myself as part of my work, but I think each artist is part of their work. You know, I really felt the time I spent with you, it was also like more layers coming off, like your work, and yeah, it deepens for me. So in the statement about her work, Hannelie talks about how through the use of masks from different cultures, perhaps there is a restitching of historical narratives where different cultures marry each other, which I think is very, obviously relevant in South Africa, and we've got a very multicultural country. So for me, that makes this work very important in the South African context. She also talks about the idea of the wedding being the promise of a magical ending, which I found very interesting. She suggests that not only the combination of images, but also the materiality is very relevant to the conceptual underpinning of the work, as the industrial masculine rubber is also married with the feminine cotton threading and stitching. So I thought that was also an interesting idea of marriages as much more wide. Hannelie also calls her stitching purposefully imperfect, which I really found that interesting in your statement. And that in itself, it refers to imperfection in general. So this idea of imperfection also reflects how we shield ourselves with our societal masks. And how we try, we have a mask on for every social situation, and that is also, I think, in a way what makes us nervous for public speaking, because suddenly there's you're exposed, and there's this kind of animal side of us that says you are in danger and you must exit the venue. You shouldn't stick out really, you should be normal, you should fit in. It's safer to be in the crowd there than up here. But at the same time, and I think also with talking with you and spending that time with you this morning, there's a value in being vulnerable. We all want to be honest and we want to be relaxed, but it's difficult. It's really difficult to be vulnerable. And I think this body of work does that vulnerability. And it reminded me of something my psychologist said to me. She said, even with your partner and your closest person, it's easier to take off your clothes than to take off the clothes off your heart and to talk really in a vulnerable way. And I find that really true, and I find somehow that links for me with this work because it kind of takes off the clothes of your heart in some way. So, okay, so for me, this work, while suggesting ideas of covering and masking, hiding and protecting, it is ironically opening, unmasking and revealing. And in a similar train of thought, while the body of work is primarily figurative, there's an underlying playful use of text that even though most of us, mostly we have, a title to our work, I find that with your body of work, it's much more interwoven in understanding and the work revealing itself. And that's what I think for me it's a very impactful combination, the title with the work. So even though I'm sure you are familiar with the work, with the titles, I'm just going to read you a few because they are really amazing. And I won't point where they are, but you should really go to each work and look at the work and think about that title alongside that work. So the first one here, The Elephants in brackets in the Room. Make-believe wife. Last night I was kissed by an oh so handsome man, said the princess. Catch of the day, I really love that. It's just so funny for me. And the whole work. Catch of the day. And I also love this one. A ripe old age, say cheese. There's such a play of words there. When the prince saw the beautiful princess, he leaned over and licked her. What is so happy about ever after? So I haven't got all the titles, but yeah, I wanted to just bring the titles into the space. So for me, there's a disruption that's created by these titles through a kind of dark humor maybe, that in combination with the choices of images and materiality, they can't but bring up questions, for me at least. And I'll just leave you with a few questions that this body of work makes me, or things that I start to think about critically. So the institution of marriage as a societal norm and gender roles, the expectation of how we should look or carry ourselves, especially in public, the histories of where certain ideas or ideals come from, how we find ourselves, or how at least I find myself in 2025. It's a really strange world and it's a really strange human experience in a way, with all the politics that are happening and social media addictions, and it's a strange and wonderful world. And lastly, this work, I would say it really has made me reflect on the idea of being normal. Or normal as an acceptable and even something we strive for. Having a teenager, that's very important. When you're a teenager, you want to look the same, you don't want to stick out, you want to be normal. I know that for myself as well, but this kind of brings that into question. What's the value of striving to be normal? And generally the reality and absurdity around normality. So I thought I'll leave you with those questions and say again thank you very much. And yeah, congratulations.
Well, thank you so much, Adelheid. I think you just opened up a whole lot of new layers. Thank you for that. Just a few things. Tomorrow, Manali will be conducting a walkabout at 11. You're all welcome. I know it's not a good time for those of you working, but if you can make a plan, that will be fantastic. It will be worth it. Then also, please enter the lucky draw. Honey was kind enough to sponsor one of our artwork prints. So just complete your details, throw it in the hat, and the draw will take place after the walkabout tomorrow. You don't have to be here, we will call you if if you were the lucky winner. Then I just want to thank a few people. Honestly, it was a pleasure working with you. It's a pleasure having and a privilege having this exhibition up. Thank you to the Oliewenhuis team as always. It's just always amazing how everyone just gets together and just gets stuff done and just push through regardless of challenges or whatever the case might be. Then I also want to just thank the caterers for tonight, BLS Catering Services. They received very, very late notice to provide us, and it looks like really lovely food and drinks. So thank you to them. Then yes, please enjoy the rest of the evening with us. Look at the artworks. I think it also tells a story, so you can start with number 1 and see if you can figure out the story as you walk around. Enjoy the evening with us. Thanks so much for joining us.